powered by the Sports Guy podcast. Actually, I'm going to start that again. I know we're live, but a few of you just joined. Hey, this is Shea Fisher here, and you're listening to the award-nominated Backstage Pass powered by the Sports Guy podcast.com. And sorry, I'm reading this. Oh my gosh, I'm only one take wonder, y'all. KKTC True Country 99.9 and KYBN 98.1. And check out the show on KISW Country and thwn.org. So happy to be here. Cannot wait to chat to you all and have a great time.
She is the new host of the Backstage Pass right there.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to these live deals. We'll have to take two at the end for that one. Lordy.
Well, I tell you what, it's awesome to have her here today again inside the Backstage Pass here. Again, our affiliates out there, KKTC True Country 99.9, KYBN 98.1 in the Bay Area out there in California. And, of course, out there, iHeartRadio and wherever you guys can find podcasts, KISW Country, and, of course, the THWN.org, as Shea talked about. And it's Shea Fisher here on the show. She's back. We got some music to talk about. How you doing?
I am doing great, and I am so pumped to be here. Off air, we were talking about how you've known my music for forever. I feel like I'm just hanging out with a friend right now, so this is going to be fun.
We're going to have a lot of fun over these next 20 or 30 minutes or so. But let's go back a little bit. You mentioned a little bit of the history of being in this business for a long time. And back to the first record deal that I've followed you ever since 2015, since the album Shea came out, which I loved it too, for Easy Come, Easy Go, and taking some of those great songs and, making them your own too, and Suitcase and all these songs that were just out there popping the charts too back in the day. But kind of a part here too, the history for people that may not know Shea Fisher and the markets now listen to. What did that bug kind of bite for music, and you knew you had an instrument kind of behind that?
Yeah, so let me give you a quick overview for those that don't know anything about me. My accent's very confused because I'm originally from Australia. I grew up in a rodeo family. My dad's an Australian champion bull rider. My mom's an Australian champion barrel racer. So from as young as I can remember, I've been horseback. My family actually moved to the U.S. when I was 9 years old. My dad competed in the PBR bull riding in the U.S. And that was really where I first was introduced to country music. Obviously, it was still cassettes, which makes me feel super old. We'll just say it was the radio. But I remember that great 90s music, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, whether it was a hairbrush I was using or, horsefly spray, I had something in my hand and I was singing all the time. But ironically, when I moved home to Australia, I thought, this is it. I'm going to be a country music singer. And it just wasn't the case because I didn't win anything. And they were like, well, you're too different. You sing with too much of a twang. You're not like everybody else. And part of me wanted to be like, honestly, a little bit butthurt about that. But then I realized well, this is really good. If I'm different, this could be in my favor one day. So I just kept entering, and I tried not to worry too much about the losses. And I was like, you know what? Talent quest scene is not for me. So then I decided to start singing the national anthem at rodeos, kind of a little bit like a Reva story, because that's what she was doing. So I would sing the national anthem at rodeos, and then I would go and compete. And I remember being at a rodeo in the outback of Australia, and there was a big tour bus parked there. Security was way less back in those days. Mm-hmm. And I said to my parents, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and knock on this tour bus door and see if this guy will let me be his opening act. Lo and behold, he actually came to the door. And of course, I was like, hey, my dad's an Australian champion. I'm not just some creepy person knocking on your tour bus door. Can I sing before you? And he was like, well, do you have a band? I'm like, no. I'm like, I have karaoke tracks. He's like, okay. So, but he put me on stage. I'm not kidding. 2 hours before he went on, there was 3 people in the crowd, and 2 of them were my parents. But I performed like there was 10,000 people. And he literally that night had asked my parents, like, hey, does she want to come on as my opening act? I was like 14 years old. I mean, I was cowgirl through and through, knew nothing. And he was doing the same run of rodeos we were doing performing. So I ended up being on his tour. And from there, we just formed such a great friendship. And my parents agreed to let him be my manager. Mm-hmm. And we wrote my first album together while I was on his Australian tour. I was just doing cover songs. I didn't have any songs written. And then him and my parents paid for my first record. We went to Nashville, flew to Nashville, recorded my first record, and then came home, and he pitched me to record labels. And to my amazement, I got a record deal at 16 years old. And But it just showed me that it doesn't matter if you have all the degrees and talent, and I
Hmm.
just had drive, and I was confident in my differences. And yeah, then that next 4 years honestly was just, it was a whirlwind. I was still in school, I was touring, I was um I think I was very different. This was before Taylor Swift, so there just wasn't even anybody young, and I was in Australia, and so people gravitated towards it, and I had several songs go number one. And um so I was definitely thrown into it at a young age, and thought, I don't want to say I thought I was untouchable, because I wasn't, but everything seemed to be moving so forward so easily. So when I got my American record deal, and that kind of came to me, I was like, well, look out, I'm going to be the next Taylor Swift. But uh God had different plans,
Hmm.
because I packed up and I moved my life to America, and I did the 3-month radio tour and had all my band here. And then we were about 3 weeks into releasing my single, and the record label shuts down. Literally, my song was like one of the third highest added songs at radio when it was coming out. It was doing great. And then I'm telling you, I still remember that phone call, like, sky's the limit, to bam, your record label shut down. Now what? And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, my whole world was taken from me. Um, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was stuck in a strange country at the time, and I had to ship my band home and tell my manager there was no longer, a position for him. And then I just sat for a minute, and I was like, now what?
That's one of those stories too, and you look back and you start thinking to yourself too. You took a chance on yourself, and no matter how young or how old somebody is, it's amazing to keep pursuing what you want to pursue and really not having a plan B. Although some people work those extra
Mhm.
jobs, and they jump through a bunch of hoops, just to put food on the table for their families. It's pretty cool to still do what you love to do and just have that grind and that work ethic, and you've shown that throughout your entire career. And I go back to, and you may not have talked about this in a long time, but I even go back to Everyday Girl. And I'm
Mhm.
not sure the last time this may have been brought up too as well. But hey, Better Place, one of my favorite songs off of there too. Just the Excuse. Talk about just what you remember best about that record too, and just also you learn so much as an artist from putting out the first project up until the single as of now, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that first album is still so special to me. Obviously, I wrote most of the songs on the album, but at the same point, it was such an interesting time, because I was creating music to release to radio, yet I was writing about heartbreak and love. And I hadn't experienced a whole lot of that at 16, yet my co writers had. So I was basically learning about life experiences through my songwriting of, like, hey, this is what I'm going to be facing
Mm-hmm.
soon. But seeing how people could relate to what I was writing and singing about was is always still so amazing to me, and just so rewarding. You said the song Everyday Girl. Obviously, if people haven't heard it, if you listen to it, it just explains how I felt. Like, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just an everyday girl. And that's kind of, like I said, I was like just a cowgirl, and got this record deal. I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? Um, so I feel like songwriting's always been very therapeutic for me. Um, Songwriting's about life experiences as well as other experiences. But man, that first album, it just felt like a wild ride, because I was going from barely singing on stage, singing cover songs, and then looking out in the audience and seeing thousands of people know the words to my songs, and just like, wow, how did I even get here? But it was just truly because, like, from a young age, my dad wrote Bulls he was 40. That's not really heard of. My dad always was like, the sky's the limit. If, like, you're the only one that can stop yourself. I never had the fear of failure. I guess you could say I was okay with failing, because I knew I was going to, but I knew that, like, that's just one step to where I'm going to get. It's even like with that second album, obviously my music became a lot more deep, and I felt like I had more life experiences. But I'm not going to lie, when you're with record labels for 10 plus years, you're definitely guided what to say, what to sing about, what to do, what to wear. You're very guided as an artist, and it's not a bad thing. But I felt like some of the songs I was recording may not have been as close to me as other songs that I didn't put on the album, but obviously it's what people want to hear, so you kind of have to do what you're told. So, when that record label shut down, I don't want to say I was bitter, but I just felt like my opportunity got taken from me. I literally, not kidding, stepped away for a couple of years where, like, I mean, I stayed in Nashville in the meantime. I was songwriting. I knew that if I wanted to stay and do this, I had to figure out how to make money. So then I called my parents, and I knew they had a belt buckle company in Australia. And I was like, hey, like, could I use your factories if I started a belt buckle company? And my mom's like, sure, go ahead and start a belt buckle company. You're a singer, but why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I would songwrite during the day and be writing all these songs. And then at night, I'd be sitting at Panera Bread until it closed, just cold calling these rodeo associations, trying to, make enough money to pay my rent and my bills. And I would go back and forth to Texas because I knew people there, but just trying to figure out what that next step looked like, because I knew I could move home and have a career there. But I had felt like I had already had such a great opportunity and career in Australia that I feel like when doors open, it's for a reason, and when they close as well. But I just didn't feel like I was called to move home at the time. I kept releasing, but I really still felt led to be in the States. So I stayed, started the belt buckle company, made a whopping $30,000 a year for the first couple of years. But that was exactly what I needed to make to pay my rent and my food and to survive. And in the meantime, I could figure out what I wanted to do. I was like, well, I'm a rodeo girl, so I'm going to get involved in modeling for some of these Western brands and do some interviewing for some of these companies, like TV commentary. So it took me to Texas a lot. And I actually met my husband when I was at Houston Rodeo. He was competing. For those that don't know, my husband's a world champion tie down roper. And he always wears the pink shirt in the arena. But funny story. So, I knew he wore pink. I knew who he was. Clearly, I knew rodeo. But I was like, he's a nice guy. I was used to dating, like, obviously when we're young, us girls will just pick the wrong people and date the bad boys. But he was like the kind that you would want to marry. And I was like, nuh-uh, I'm not there yet. Poor Tyson, literally a year to get my phone number. Now, we would message on Facebook and I would answer every question but my phone number until I needed tickets to rodeo one day for my parents. And then he was like, hey, if you want these tickets, we're going to go to, he said, if you want these tickets, we're going to go to dinner. And I was like, no, breakfast is way less sexual. We're going to go to breakfast. So we went to breakfast instead. And then I realized he was still a good guy, but I realized, okay, I can give this a shot. But yeah, poor guy. Oh, I'm so glad he was patient with me.
So glad he was there too. Tyson, of course, too. And you mentioned too a little bit before the show, we were talking a little bit there, Shea. He's actually coming out of retirement. Tell folks about that story.
Yeah, so Tyson was a professional rodeo athlete for 20 years, and he made the national finals 13 times, won the world in 2016. And then he retired not because he wasn't still winning. He retired because he was done traveling 200,000 miles a year and being gone for 200 days a year. He just wanted to be home. And obviously that was a huge life change for us because I was either doing music or he was rodeoing, we were always very busy on the road. So we tried normal life. And it's so funny to me still because I got back into music at the end of last year and I was doing some interviews in Vegas. And I said on one of the interviews, I said, hey, I guarantee that Tyson's going to come out of retirement in just a few weeks after having to stay home with the kids by himself and just hang out and not be like doing this fun stuff. And then literally 2 weeks later, he announces he's coming out of retirement. And I'm like, I called it. And he's doing great. I mean, he's having to start obviously he's in the pro league, but he's having to start like on the lower level because he didn't rodeo last year. So he's not in the big buildings that take qualifications. But I think he's actually thriving from it. He's really excited. He feels like he has several NFRs left in him. And part of me thinks he just wants the kids to be able to see him do it because they just would have been too young to remember any of that. But yeah, so he's rodeoing. So we're kind of juggling. Like he was at San Angelo Rodeo last week and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be in San Angelo. I'm going to do press. So then I was doing a TV station there. He's competing. I duck away to do this TV interview. I come back. I watch him compete. And we're just like, we're just all over the place. But it works. We both definitely like seeing each other chase their dreams and goals. So, what's one more thing to add to the table?
What's another thing? Like I said, we got so much going on in their life today. Like I said, keep adding things. It's one of those things where we just all stay busy. And like I said, another thing is just on the docket there to be able to put to that. Again, Shea Fisher here on the Backstage Pass KKTC True Country 99.9 in Taos, New Mexico. Out there in the Bay Area, KYBN 98.1, iHeartRadio, wherever you guys find your podcasts, and of course out there, the Tar Heel World Network.org, and of course KISW Country in Oklahoma and nationwide too. And of course, Take Me Back. She mentioned Texas so much. The single Take Me Back to Texas. You're going to hear it on the audio side when it comes out tomorrow on those affiliates too as well. She was going to sing for us today. Honestly, something else occurred there too that was out of her control at the same time, but we're going to play the record coming up tomorrow on the single when the audio station comes out on those specific platforms. And as we play that single, time to pay a tribute to our sponsors out there, the CadenGordonShow.com, today's best country mix. Coming back on all those affiliates, Shea Fisher, our guest here. It is the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Stay tuned.
The Caden Gordon Show. Today's best country mix is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
And back here, Shea Fisher, our guest today here. I can't believe it's already April and we're in the second quarter of the year. It's amazing. This newest single, Take Me Back to Texas, here on all our affiliates out there, KYBN 98.1 in the Bay Area too, KKTC True Country 99.9 iHeartRadio, and of course our Tar Heel worldnetwork.org out there too, and KISW Country, and of course wherever you guys find your podcasts, and the sportsguyspodcast.com, a grand slam of music and sports. You know, this one just has a great feel to it. You tell a great story in all your songs. We talked about some of the older records that were out there too at the same time. Great music, but that connection to music you've always had, and this song just feels like it came natural to you. It's telling a great story. Tell people about it.
Yeah, it did. You know, honestly, over the years, I've always released a lot of fast music. So releasing a slow song was like, oh man, I don't know what people are going to think. But I just felt like being out of the industry for several years, and I was listening to the songs that I thought I could release. I was like, this one actually tells a journey, and it kind of explains the journey I've been on and where I'm at. So I felt like it was a perfect way to reintroduce myself again, a more mature way, in my opinion, than some of my other songs. But obviously it talks about love, finding love in Texas, but it also talks about, for me, it was about the journey I was on. When I left Australia, I traded my cowgirl boots and hat for high heels in Nashville and completely changed my image because that's what I was asked to do with my label. But I just never felt like I was quite at home. Like I would go out to Kix Brooks's house just to ride a horse because I just needed to ride a horse. Like I just was that cowgirl. So for me, this was about like the yearning of my cowgirl roots and country. And obviously that was Texas for me because it was such a quick drive from Nashville, 14 hours from Nashville to go to Texas and feel more at home. It brought me back to how I grew up. But it was really, I love looking at some of these songs I wrote a while ago because this song was written with Jessie Jo Dillon. At the time, Jessie was just Dean Dillon's daughter, who's a hit songwriter. Now she's a multiple Grammy Award-winning songwriter, which is so stinking cool that I wrote this song with her. And then I actually had one of Garth Brooks' harmony singers, Karen Rochelle, write with us as well. And I knew I needed people that understood the country cowgirl lifestyle. I wasn't going to just be able to get anybody in Nashville to help write this song. But I've had this song sitting for several years, and I'm like, I got to get it out. And, the reason I even came back to music, part of the story is I stayed in Nashville for a while, ended up going to Texas, meeting Tyson, had started our companies. They were doing well, realized that I didn't just want to stay there. I wanted to be able to move forward with my life. At the time, I was a little bit bitter with the industry because, like I said, I felt like my chance was taken away unfairly. And for me, for 15 years before that, because I got signed so young, my identity was in like, oh, how many songs do you have at radio? How many number ones have you had? Like that was my talking point. So I kind of lost my identity and had to figure out, well, like, who am I? Then I moved from singer to Tyson Durfee's wife, and I was going to help him be the best he could be, to then our businesses. But I really had to get to a point where I knew that my who I wasn't defined by my number one songs. And that's when I was able to start to really fall back in love with music and realize that, yes, I'm not 16 in my prime singing days, but I felt like I can show people that if you have a dream or a goal, it doesn't matter how young or old you are. And honestly, you can sit here and be like, oh, now's not the perfect time. But is there ever going to be a perfect time in life? So and for me, like, our daughters are going to get to see their mom chasing her dreams. And the song, I wasn't sure releasing the song how it would do. I'm so blessed. The song's doing great on Australian radio, and it seemed to be people are really enjoying it. But I didn't know. I was like, this could flop. But I will always be able to say that I tried and I gave it that one more attempt at doing it. And I didn't just sit back and I don't want to be 70 and say what if. But this is a really special song. It really is. I actually flew over my Australian music director I'd worked with a ton to Texas. And he came to our ranch and shot the music video. And we shot it on our ranch and then Ty Murray's ranch. And Ty's very well known in the rodeo industry. He's a many-time world champion. So it was cool just to kind of be in our element shooting this video and having all of our friends and our people involved.
No, it's a great song too. I'm glad it's doing well in your home country too. And definitely, I hope that, music grows some of those charts up there too. And we'll pick this up too if they haven't already too, or at least discussions, because this thing is hot. I'm going to say, like I said, because I know my music very well. You guys know I do a lot of interviews with a lot of great artists here on the show. And when I like a song, I get behind it 110%. And this one's got that feel for just telling a story, kind of like a good, just Garth Brooks or George Strait type song. Let me ask you about this when it comes to all the great females in the industry who are just kicking ass right now. And there's so many of them that are just, the list is just too long to name. But let's start with the queen herself. I'll say right now, the queen will always be Reba, but the current queen right now is Lainey Wilson. And, I had her on the show here back before all this blew up in like 2020, I think it was, or somewhere in there. I'm just curious to ask you about your thoughts and kind of feelings and emotions when you see the women kind of going through this girl power movement right now. What does that do for you?
I love it. I mean, it is so encouraging. When I came to Nashville and I had my deal, it was not that way. Us girls and women, we had to fight hard for it. Our record labels are like, hey, every 10 songs that are getting played at guys, it's going to be one girl. Like, figure out how to stand out. It's just it's so much more of an even playing field now, which I love. Good music's good music. And I just love, for example, take Lainey Wilson's story. Like, it's hilarious to me that she got turned down by Idol so many times and all these things. And now she's like the biggest act there is. And it's like, it's not about what other people think of you. It's just, it has to be the right time and the right song. It used to be so important to be with a major record label if you wanted success. But the way the industry is now, any artist can upload their songs to iTunes as long as the song's getting streamed. I literally had a conversation just the other day with a pretty powerful manager in Nashville. And I was just, as a friend, I was asking him, hey, what do I need to do? Where are we at? And he's like, honestly, it's all about streaming. He's like, it don't matter if you have a record label or not. If your songs are getting streamed, that's all people care about. So it's just such a different industry right now. I felt like the 90s, it's a lot like the 90s because there was a lot of girl power in the 90s as well. But what I like the most, honestly, is it's a girl power movement, but it's not all like all these songs these girls are singing are like, girls the best, boys suck. Sometimes when it gets girl powerish, it's like, all about girls. But these songs are just great songs and they can relate to girls and guys. And I love Lainey Wilson. I'm a huge fan. Obviously, I'm Queen Reba all the way. But it's a really, really exciting time in the industry for any artist, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Let's go back to a few of these songs that really, defined you back in the day. 2009, Don't Chase Me. I want to get the story of this one, too, because I really still today have this one on my playlist.
Yes. So this song was so fun. This song was written by a lady that I lived with in Nashville when I first moved to Nashville, and I was in between. My record label shut down. I had to send everyone home, and I was by myself. This lady had written this song for me, Tammy Hyler, and she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I'm a country girl. It's me and my daughter. You want to come live with us? I was like, yes. So I lived way outside of Nashville on a ranch with her, and it was fabulous. But loved recording this song. Funnest memory for me was shooting the music video, because I remember the record label giving me two choices. One was Trey Fenjoy. And obviously if you don't know Trey, she is a bazillion time music director of the year. She has Keith Urban, Taylor Swift. She had Love Story, Miranda, everything. But I knew her stuff. And when they mentioned her name, I don't even know who the director was, they said, because I was just like one lane. But so we literally fly out to California. We had a 2-3 day window to get this shot because I had to be home touring in Australia. And it was middle of winter. We had all these big fires going on this football field because we're all like in these clothes, cheerleading clothes. And but it was so cold, but we made it work. But it was It was such a fun thing. I remember the radio station saying to me, this is going to be a song that people are going to love or hate. There's not going to be any in-between line because it was just so different. If you haven't heard it, my song literally had a cheerleading chant in it. But it was one of those ones they said, it was like when Shania came out, people either loved her or hated her. It was just kind of is what it is. So I was all about the challenge. I was like, you know what, bring it on. Let's do this. Obviously it was a little different because it wasn't my cowgirl roots, but I mean, the concept and the storyline, it's like any of us girls, like, don't lead us on. Like, just be straightforward, and we're all in. But obviously a lot of my younger music was very relationship and boy vibes, which obviously as a 20-something-year-old girl, that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, it was my first song that did well on CMT in the US, and I remember being in my house with my guys and being like, oh my gosh, that's my face on CMT. I was like just so excited about the situation because as a little girl, we watched CMT in Australia as well. And so that was a pretty surreal moment. I used to live in Hendersonville on the lake, and I still remember seeing my song on CMT.
I remember those days too. Like I said, that makes me feel my age right now too. In my mid-40s, I'm going, man.
No, we're still in our 20s, our mid-20s, right?
Yeah, we'll call it. Hey, we're still lucky enough to get up in the morning and go to the gym and put a workout.
Exactly.
So I'm good for that because I'm back the last 6 months. I've been taking a lot of the circuit training and HIIT classes, and I'm lucky I'm still now at 45. I can still get up and do that.
Honestly, it's super impressive. That's the thing. I have a fitness group. Like it's called Shea Fisher Fitness, but I started it after having the kids because the first 2 kids, I was like, oh, this was easy to bounce back. It was nothing. But our third child, I was like, Lordy, this is harder than they say. So I started figuring out like how to be able to do that because I'm not somebody that was going to diet and spend countless hours in the gym. But I kind of had to train my mindset about it's not what I have to lose, it's what I have to gain through it. So it made the process easier. So I started a course for women. And I have like workout videos and like eating tips, and it's not dieting, but the right way to eat. And I love it because I'm seeing like people messaging me, showing me their results and stuff. It's super, I don't know. I like helping other people, and I like sharing knowledge. And obviously, if there's something I know that I can share, I'm all about putting it out there. I mean, if you follow me on social media, my family doesn't have much of a filter or it's all out there for the whole world to see.
Yeah. It is, no doubt, too. Like I said, love the tips you give out there too. And like I said, we're doing some of those same workouts. So I know, like I said, what I got from you is working for me because it's always getting to those personal trainers out there too, following their advice and kind of a meal plan and, going more lean with like chicken and fish and staying away from like all the red meat out there too. I know it's hard because we live in Texas down here too. We love our crawfish and our steak and things like that.
I know, right? Bring it on.
In moderation, we got to eat those things too. We'll take our final timeout, come back. We'll talk about some of the classics there, too. And we'll roll back, too, from the Australian days, too, including one called Being With My Baby, which came out back in the day, too, as well. That makes us, we're still in our 20s, but, actually, when we were in our 20s back then, too. More with Shea Fisher. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned for it to come. KKTC, True Country, 99.9. And, of course, our friends out there, 98.1 in the Bay Area in California, KYBN. And, of course, our friends, KISW Country and Tar Heel. worldnetwork.org out there too for your listening pleasure. They play a lot of the great music out there, and when we get this single, we're going to play it there too on those very stations. More with Shea Fisher. It is the Backstage Pass powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. Stay tuned.
The Kane and Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecaneandgordonshow.com. Again, that is thecaneandgordonshow.com.
And final segment here, Shea Fisher joining us here, the Backstage Pass, and of course, more great shows coming up over the next few weeks. And I'm going to announce this one right now with Shea on the air too, because I'm excited about this. Grammy Award winners and Grammy nominees. Anytime you say those words, that's it. You got to tune in for it. April 21st, right here on the show, the great Kenny Wayne Shepherd, right here on the Backstage Pass, and of course, the great, the legend, Bobby Rush. We'll be right here talking about an album they got to collaborate on and a whole lot more here on the Backstage Pass. We bring you the best of the best, and today it is Shea Fisher here on the Backstage Pass. Appreciate the affiliates and what they do out there. So I mentioned there, too, back to the Shea album in 2015, and I got to talk about one, Being With My Baby, because you mentioned about the boys' songs and things like that and going through the heartbreaks and the relationships and kind of in and out and, being with the guy friends back then. But when this came out in 2015, I loved this song.
Thank you. Yeah. So this song's kind of fun because it was actually written with Taylor Swift. That's why it just has the sound. It's just got the
Mhm.
Taylor sound, y'all. And she actually put a version out as well, I think on we both recorded it, and she put a version out too many years ago. So it's really fun when I see all these like, like her little fan page girls and they have her Taylor Swift fan pages and they're always like, did you hear this version this other girl sings? And they're putting me on there. And I'm like, y'all just put me first. No, but it's a great song. Love it. One of my funnest ones to sing live. At the time, obviously it was younger on that one when we wrote it. It was like 2021.
Mhm.
So that one definitely connected with that age of women. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't like a good love song? I mean, come on. Let's be real here.
We do, no doubt. A couple more we'll ask you about because you and I can sit here and talk all day. That's how well I know your music, and I know a lot of artist music out there too that I've been following for years. Another Day in the Sun. We gotta just turn the clock back a little bit on this one. I love it.
Wow. Yeah. Like, wait, rewind this. Okay, Lordy. I was like, that's not the song I thought you'd say. So yes, I wrote that one with my tour manager and the gentleman I said that I was on tour with. And obviously him and I both loved the beach, the sun. So a lot of our songs when we were writing, there were this like country cowgirl vibe mixed with the beach and the lake and the sun. And my favorite season of the year is definitely summer. I don't know if it's because I grew up in Australia, but we love the sun and swimsuits and all the fun stuff that comes with it. So I'm glad that we live somewhat near a lake in Texas because this girl wouldn't cope if we just had the ranch and no pool and lake and things like that. But that was a fun song. Yeah. I listened back and obviously when we made albums back then, your albums were about 12 songs. So there was probably 5 songs that we knew were going to be singles. And then there was what we would call our filler songs. Obviously, you still wanted them to be great, but those filler songs don't always get like the same amount of airtime. And some people don't even know those. So I'm like super impressed that you even know those songs, which is very impressive. I'm going to tell you a little secret. So the next single that's coming out, it's called Alvin Cowboy. And I wrote that one with Walker Hayes, who I'm good buddies with, and Walker and his guitarist actually helped produce it. Super fun music video. My husband makes a little cameo in one of the bar scenes, but I love this song, but I'm really excited for the next song as well because it's a fun cowgirl song, and obviously anything Walker does is great. So yeah,
it sure is.
You heard it first here. I'll have to sneak you a little sneak peek off of air.
And you got to come back on here and talk about it if you will too. We got to talk about it.
Yes, we have a busy summer ahead. We have between the rodeos, it's a big rodeo in Nashville coming up in May, and my husband and I should both be competing in it because I compete in rodeo as well. So I'll be there competing and doing PR, and then between us touring, last week I did a show with Easton Corbin, which was a lot of fun. So hoping to get out playing more shows. That's kind of the goal, is to be out on the road, seeing more people. My favorite part of being a musician has always been performing. So that's what I'm most excited about this year. So fingers crossed we get booked on some good shows and festivals and rodeos, and we get to hang out with everyone there.
Look forward to it. All right, I'm gonna go back a little bit more too. This one may be surprising, it may not, like I said, but I loved it too because it's still on the playlist today. Getaway Heart. Let's dive into this one.
Yeah, that's a fun one. The music video that's out for that, actually, we shot it while I was on radio tour. And I keep watching back on that, and I keep showing our daughters. I'm like, hey, look at this. And it shows like the two of us and what radio tour is like and performing, and definitely brings back a lot of memories. This one was one of those songs that when I once it was recorded, I was like, this has to go on the album. It made sense. With the lifestyle we lived of being so busy and just from one place to the next. But yeah, Getaway Heart. It's one of my favorite ones. One of the ones that people always ask me about as well is What He Did to Me. If you've heard that.
I have, yes.
So I'm actually a really nice person, but when like you're talking like breakup and guys doing wrong by you and stuff, then like my not nice side, I guess you could say, might come out. But anytime somebody hears this song, they're like, who on earth did you write that about? So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you've here's the thing. If you're in a relationship with a songwriter, you're going to have a song about you, good or bad. So it always makes me laugh. I wonder if such and such knows that song was written about him. And these people may have no idea. Part of you almost wants to be like, did you know that song was written about you? Peace out. Like sometimes you just want to let them know. But yeah, so there was some fun songs on that second album. I actually have all the songs put together for the third album. I'm just kind of seeing how we want to release them, whether we've got obviously 3 singles coming out this year, but whether we want to branch into more of an EP style or if we want to do a full album. But I've got a lot of great songs that we just wrote over the years that never got to see the light of day. So this is going to be a fun journey. Hopefully it's a fun, eventful journey. And I get to let everybody, I guess, listen to my emotional therapy songs that I wrote over the last 10 years.
I'm looking forward to that, no doubt. Hey, we'll have fun with a couple of questions because you and I, again, we're going to talk, like I said, the cows come home. It's just what we do when it comes down to it. As far as food goes, Tyson and you, when you get a night on the town, what do you like to go kind of dine in? What kind of restaurants?
Yeah. So we have a couple options. When I met my husband, he ate nothing but steak. He was all cowboy. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like, no. But y'all, I've convinced him to eat sushi. Literally. We love us some good sushi because the kids are not going to eat sushi. So we like a good sushi restaurant, or we like to go to Texas de Brazil. Tyson speaks fluent Portuguese. He's the whitest guy to speak Portuguese, I think, in history because my husband's Irish. But he speaks fluent Portuguese because he did some companies down there. So Texas de Brazil or sushi is our go-to.
I like that too. Always good stuff right there too. All right, got to ask you about this. I'd be remiss if I didn't. Rope Swing came out in 2021. So much fun with this one. I love the cover art for it too, with, like I said, feet coming down like a little raft or something like that.
Yeah.
Little swing
Yeah.
right there. It's a great song, and what a great cover art you put with it too.
Thank you. This was actually written with Walker Hayes as well and produced. The whole song was with Walker, which is fun. Man, like I said, I love me some water and some sun. And I mean, honestly, I feel like country music's so great because it just tells a story. And honestly, in summer, who isn't out there on a rope swing down by the river? Or some of my best memories growing up, even my teenage years were doing that exact same thing, camping out, back of the tailgates. It's literally it's like watching a movie. I feel like country music songs, but this is a fun one because that cover art I actually shot on my iPhone sitting on a boat in near Kalispell, Montana, on a lake. And I was like, this is the shot. And I took it with my iPhone. I sent it to my people. And I'm like, can we work with this? And they're like, yeah, you just took the cover photo on your iPhone. I'm like, oh my gosh, in the world we live in today. But I always wanted to shoot a music video for this one because I was like, that would be so much fun, seeing how high I could get on that rope swing, see if I still have the athletic ability I did in my younger days. So I may have to shoot some kind of iPhone music video for that one this summer. That would be fun.
I would love to see that too as well. And I tell you what, I hope to see you there in Nashville, Tennessee. If you're coming out there to CMA Week, June 5th to the 8th, the Music City Center. If you're coming out there, you and Tyson are making an appearance, look me up because I'll be there and looking forward to working with you on another side of maybe some business there too. You and I are talking about too at the same time. A lot of fun. The companies are doing great. I love when it's just great artists like yourself always attempt that comeback. It's like you never left when you look back down to it and you're always pursuing that dream. You're so great at it. Take Me Back to Texas, the current single there from Shea Fisher. You can also check out more at SheaFisher.com, SheaFisher.com. We even spell it for you here on the Backstage Pass, so you don't have to use that thing called Google. Thanks to all the affiliates. Hey, I appreciate you being here. Looking forward to many more of these shows and continued success going forward with the companies, with Tyson, and, of course, the family. God bless.
Yes, thanks for having me. Had a great time.
You got it. Shea Fisher here on the Backstage Pass, KYBN 98.1, and our friends at KKTC True Country 99.9, of course, out there. Our good friends Tar Heel, love saying that, worldnetwork.org out there, KISW Country, iHeartRadio, and wherever you guys find your podcasts. More great music coming up, powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com. It is the Backstage Pass, and more great shows coming up. Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Bobby Rush here, April the 21st. God bless. Take care. We'll